they fell. They fell hard. And they were low. Low. They made it out. They made it out.
You sound like a sermon. But God.
Yo, sometimes in life we lose our upper and it feels like things are over.
Hello, lovers, and welcome back to Star Cupid, a podcast that discusses the romantic pairings from film and TV. It is your boy, Zamadarex, nothing more, nothing less, from the east, not the west, Uyadiga the pest, and this is it. This is one of those episodes that I was genuinely excited about. Like, I've been thinking about doing this for the longest time. I'm so happy that I finally got the chance to do it because, wow, it is a fan favorite. It is also personally one of my favorite shows of all time. It is a very well written kids show that has somehow stuck with audiences since it dropped. Like, people are in their 20s, bordering 30s, and they still love this show, which just speaks to how incredible it really is. I am speaking about none other than Katara and Aang from Avatar, The Last Airbender. And so it's like glitter and like shininess and like amazingness because wow. Growing up, I was not very into anime, not because I didn't like it per se, but because it wasn't really, my voice got really high. It wasn't really available to us, like people that didn't have like the internet or like TV. Unless you wanted to watch like Dragon Ball Z, which was cool, I guess, but yeah, I didn't really get into it. And this show, it captured me at a very young age, mostly because Nickelodeon, they used to play the episodes in chronological order every day? Every day. So after school, it was just me and that television. I was completely engrossed. I was immediately just obsessed with this world, this story, the characters, and the epic rise of a protagonist like Aang. It was just amazing to me. Even when I was very young, it was just really, really great. The first time I rewatched it was when I was in matric, when I should have been studying. So shout out to Simon Thought Gray. And then again, I recently rewatched it during the first lockdown because why not, and every single time that I have rewatched it, it still managed to be as good as it was. Like, maybe it's a little bit better now that I am older and I understand a lot and I can see intentions and I can see what writers were trying to show us and all that stuff. It was just wonderful. And I'm not doing this alone. To help me out to get through all the things that I really want to talk about, I've invited a special guest to join me. She is a friend of the show. She is also one of my best friends on the planet. We have Dintho-tsohle joining us virtually to chat about a show that we both just adore. It's been with us, like we're quite similar in age. It's been with us. It has held down. There are so many things that we still find interesting and like captivating about it. And she has a lot of opinions about a lot of things. So there was no better person for this. Let's waste no time. This is Katara and Aang. The Last Airbender was created in 2005 and ran on until 2008 with 3 seasons under its belt. It was created by Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko. I know that Konietzko was, before this, he had left working on Family Guy to write this show. So, wow, first of all. Secondly, there's commitment there, and his history kind of shows that, okay, this is a funny man. He's a man that can make jokes, and what they did with this show is impeccable. It's really, really great. They went on to also do Legend of Korra, which is the continuation of the Avatar story. I've yet to watch all of Legend of Korra. Like, I know I've been talking about how I'm a really huge fan of this, so why haven't I watched Legend of Korra? Once again, availability and also like time and like life. One day I will watch the whole thing back to front, and maybe I'll come back and I'll talk. Actually, not even maybe, I will definitely, because I do like Korra. I like her a lot. So I will be back to have this conversation when I'm done watching it. So yeah, the creators, what they were able to accomplish with The Last Airbender at a time like 2005, really, really great, amazing. The fact that it is so amazing to children and beloved by adults, I think it's great when cartoons can be just so universal, and wow, great. They also, in like production news, the pair had recently pulled out of an adaptation deal with Netflix. They were going to produce a like live, I think it was going to be live action series based on the show. But apparently they pulled out because the Netflix, the production company, they wanted to kind of sexualize the characters, who are, no one is even above the age of 17. I think everyone's kind of under 16, the oldest being like Zuko and Sokka, who are 16. Aang is, okay, he's 112, but he's 12 in general. So that was weird. Like, that was super weird. We could spend the entire episode discussing why it was weird, why Netflix is wrong, and why they need to be stopped. But I'm not going to focus on them. I'm just going to focus on the fact that I'm happy that Konietzko and DiMartino could like walk away from that. It's because they definitely want this to happen. They want us as the audience and the fans and the fandom to have this wonderful show adapted, but it has to be on their terms. And I get that, because some adaptations were not on their terms, and we could see, and those adaptations turned out to be horrible, because when you take an artist's work and you kind of shit on it, it's going to reflect in the work. Especially what happened in that horrible adaptation. We don't need another thing like that. I will not be discussing the live action movie, because what live action? What movie? I do want to shed a light on the art and animation department, which was headed by Konietzko. Wow. That's the light I want to shine on it. Wow. This is one of the most visually pleasing cartoons I've ever watched. Part of the reason why the world building was so wonderful and so well done comes from how they animated everything beyond the characters and maybe like the animals, which were very cute. I think it was just a very beautifully done world. There was a distinctness in each place that you went to. You knew which nation you were in purely based on how they had drawn everything, and I'll talk about that in greater detail later. I just wanted to shout out our department. Also, the score, really great. Like, you knew what was going on before you actually saw what was happening because of the music. Really, really wonderful. Chef's kiss. On a cute note, I love the animals. All the animals on this show are so adorable. They have this thing where every animal is a hybrid, so there'll be two different animals presented into like one. For example, Aang's bison is actually half bison, half manatee, and you see that, like, you see the features of both animals, and they both kind of contribute to what the animal can do. Like, so with Momo is half lemur, half bat, so you can clearly see that he's a lemur because of the way he's like shaped, but then he can also fly because he's half bat, and it's just adorable. I think it's cute. And that is why in the Ba Sing Se episodes, all of the episodes, when they first find out that the Earth King has a bear, like, everyone's confused on the team. They're just like, a bear what? I'm like, no, it's a bear. It's just a normal bear. And that's because he's the only normal animal in the entire show. That's it. And I just find that really, really adorable. On to the cast. First up, we have Mae Whitman as Katara. I've spoken about Whitman before in the previous episodes. Many of you will know her from projects like Good Girls, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, lots of work. But she also has an extensive voice acting career, and I love her. I love her as an actress. I love her in everything that I've seen her in. She's really wonderful. She has this soft, sweet thing going on with her voice that I think was really perfect for Katara. But normally she's usually cast as like these sassy and snarky women, which I guess also matches Katara a lot. So yeah, love her work, love what she's doing. Then we have the adorable Zach Tyler as Aang. Cutest little voice in the world. Oh my goodness. He sounds like he is, you know what I mean? Like, he sounds like a 12-year-old boy that is as playful and as joyful as Aang is. He really embodies that. If you have ever seen Ant Bully, you'll recognize Tyler, because he plays the lead character in the movie, Lucas, the little boy that pees on the ants. He's great. He hasn't done much since this show, but I think just purely based on his performance as Aang, he was really great, considering at the time that they started the show, he was also only 12 years old, and his voice just does stuff like, yes, there is the obvious and very like natural to him excitement and glee of a 12-year-old, but there were moments where Aang was not so childlike, and like, he had to make big decisions and he had angry moments, and I think that Tyler really, he got that. He played the part when it required him, so that's why I think he was really good. Honorable mentions, there are a lot. There are so obviously when a show spans 3 seasons, you're gonna have a lot of people that are on it. Like, wow, amazing people that have been on this show. But on Team Avatar, we have Jack Decina, who plays Sokka. One of the funniest people in the show. I really love Sokka for who he is. Even though sometimes you just wanna shut him up, but he was really great. Then there's Dante Basco, who is Prince Zuko. If you can't hear it in his voice, You might recognize Bosco because he also voiced Jake Long from American Dragon. And I always find this funny because it's so hilarious trying to imagine hearing Zuko say the stuff that Jake Long says and like vice versa. Like Zuko's just from this boy from New York who's stuck in an international war. It's hilarious stuff. Fun fact, while we're talking about American Dragon, Mae Whitman voiced Rose, Jake's love interest, on the show. I just think that's just that's wonderful humor from the universe. Kind of like in this alternate world, Katara and Zuko their roles are kind of reversed because Rose is the one hunting Zuko, but they're also in love, which is weird. Anyway, I think that was great. I think that was lovely. We also have Mako as Uncle, who plays Uncle Iroh, RIP to the King. Wonderful job, lovely work. Gray Griffin, extensive career in voice acting, who plays Azula. I wanted to mention her because, wow, her voice, she literally sounds as terrifying as Azula looks, if that makes sense. Like, she embodies that people are scared of me and I revel in that, which is great. And man, there's just amazing people on the show. There's so many fantastic voice actors that have been on. Like, for example, Mark Hamill was Firelord Ozai. I'm saying this slowly because I didn't know this until I was watching it the second time, yes. And it was just the wildest kind of like, this person was on here. And he was really good. He was really, really great. For the 12 minutes that we ever hear Firelord Ozai speak. Just great, fantastic people all around. Onto the plot. If you have never seen this show, turn this off right now and go and watch it. I don't care how you do it. You just have to see it. You need to watch it. There's no reason not to. You can watch it with your children. You can watch it with your nibblings. You can watch it with your spouse. You can watch it alone. There's no reason not to see this amazing show, especially because at some point that live action adaptation will come, and though I trust their creators and I trust that they will honor what happens in the original show, you still have to just see the original just for yourself. Just do it for yourself. If you have seen it and you need to jog your memory, here is the summary. Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar, master of all four elements, could stop them. But when the world needed him most, he vanished. 100 years passed, and Katara and her brother Sokka discovered the new Avatar, an airbender named Aang. Yeah, you get the point. Yeah. If you don't get the point, I promise you they will remind you in the intro every single episode. At some point, you'll just know it off by heart. Again, this has been out for over 10 years now. Spoilers will be flowing. I'm sorry, not sorry. And I'm sure I've already spoiled a few things in the beginning, so I'm so happy to be talking to my dear friend Dintho-tsohle about this. You'd like listening to the second part, you'd think that we haven't seen each other in years. It's been a couple of months, maybe less than 2. Yeah, the way we were talking about this, it was really great to have her on. Forgive the shaky audio. That's the price we have to pay for recording online until we can meet again post-pandemic. So yeah, alright, it's time to get straight into this. This is Katara and Aang.
And we're back with our guest, our very special guest, dear friend of mine, fan of the show, not the podcast. Oh, she is a fan of the podcast too, but anyway, we have Dintho-tsohle here.
Hi. Okay, hello, hi everybody.
It's been a journey. It's been a long journey getting her on here, and by journey I mean technical difficulties on top of technical difficulties. You know what I was saying offline? I was saying, I'm so young. Why am I struggling with this? And I felt that we're both so young.
We're too young.
I feel like I have to call my niece and be like, hey, young whippersnapper, how does this work?
Honestly, because the way this technology was literally giving us problems. Every laptop, every phone, every microphone.
Everything just fail. But we're here now and we're so excited. We've been talking about this since I think the end of last year.
Yeah.
And then life happened. So I'm glad that we finally made it to talk about something that we're both not on the same page with.
Ooh, this is going to be interesting.
I love this so much. All right, D. I've said it in the episode, earlier I've said, and I'm sure if anyone follows either of us online, they can tell we really love The Last Airbender. As a show, it's really great. We can both agree on that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when you watched it, but during mid 2020, sometime during lockdown, the American Netflix uploaded all the seasons onto their platform, and then we saw kind of I want to say a resurgence of memes and chats based on Avatar Online, and it was really fun. It was a fun time. How did it feel to see so many other fans celebrate this show so many years after it ended?
I loved it. I was down for it because I used to watch it on and off in my early teens, and then I watched it for real at the tender age of 16, which I'm sad to say is a couple of years ago. And then last year when everybody was talking about it, there were all these new memes and new fandoms and you know what I mean, everybody built a new culture, and I was yes, I'm here for this. It was really exciting, I feel.
And I know we both love fan cams, and that was the one thing I enjoyed seeing so much.
Yeah, that was fun. I love that. And you get all these YouTube channels that are they have different takes on things that you didn't even notice before, things that you wouldn't have thought of, and articles and all these different things that would not have been there if they didn't bring it back and grow the fandom. So I don't know, I think it would be weird if we were oh my goodness, I hate it, they should have never shared it with anybody else. That
I'm glad people were willing to be a part of it again. We weren't hogging it like a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, that's really weird.
And obviously I brought you on here, to discuss the show, but also to focus particularly on the couple we've chosen for today's episode, Katara and Aang. Now, it feels so weird to call it a love story, because in the greater scheme of things, it didn't matter. We were more focused, or we were more exposed to this journey that every character is going through, kind of the growth and the self-discovery, on top of them dealing with this war. So it kind of got pushed to the side, or was in the back of our minds. And normally in shows with protagonists like Aang, the romance attached to Aang would be shoved in our faces, like his love interest would kind of be only there to support him and nothing else. All those like cliches that we're used to. Do you think that for this show, and just like I want to anime in general, do you think they've mastered the art of not letting the love overshadow our heroes' like journey overall goals? And then also, how do you personally feel about Katara and Aang? You can choose to answer in whatever order you want.
Okay, cool. So I think, okay, so let me start here. I think it is a love story, but I'm not talking specifically about Katara and Aang's romance. I think, like you said, it's like self-discovery and all of that. And it is also love. Like, you've got lots of different kinds of love that are clearly... You even have toxic love. And that's also pretty evident in the whole show. So I think it was a theme that was always there, but I think you are right, where you're like, it wasn't like the main theme, or they weren't like shoving it down our throats. And anime does have a tendency to do that really well, where it's not like, romantic movies like that everybody watches with real people, like The Notebook, and like those kinds of movies.
I'm sorry, real people made me laugh.
Like, you step in, and I hate romance movies because I hate feeling like I already know what's gonna happen, or the entire time I'm just gonna be watching a bunch of these cliches, and like it's all gonna work in a specific kind of way, and the peak is always the same. I don't know, someone's gonna walk away at some point in the rain or whatever. Like, that's how it always is. But I appreciate the sort of like slow burn that anime has, where they also incorporate a lot of other themes. So it won't just be like romantic love. It'll be like romantic love, but also, I don't know, figuring yourself out, figuring out your talent or your magical what, and then growing and also fighting enemies, and also, do you know what I mean? And I think that Avatar did do that. And I think fans of Katara and Aang appreciate that it wasn't like, okay, it's a love story and Katara is just this pretty person who's just here to serve as a love interest and nothing else, no story, no flavor, nothing. I think that they did that well, I suppose. However,
here it comes. Here we go.
However, I don't agree with them. I don't agree with them ending up as a couple, because I don't know, I just felt like, so it definitely wasn't rushed. Okay, don't get me wrong, it definitely was not rushed. But do I feel like it touches a little bit on like a little bit sloppy? I have to say yes, and I will tell you why. So, you remember in the Cave of Lovers when Katara was
my goodness, yes.
What if we kissed in the dark? Just kidding, I lived. And that,
this is killing me, because that's exactly how the scene went, word for word, bar for bar.
So
she even did, that emoji where you put the two fingers together. That's exactly what she was.
So that whole episode, or that whole like scene and that whole thing, was about establishing the fact that there was love between them, which I don't doubt for a second. If you look at their entire history, like Katara was always there for him. They always like supported each other, motivated each other. They were always there for each other, which I love about them. And they honestly, truly loved each other. My thing is, it felt very like familial. Do you know what I mean? Like very like older sister, little brother.
Kind of platonic, almost.
Like really platonic love. And it was always clear that Aang had a crush on her. I think he developed a crush like season 1, and it was very clear that he had a crush on her. But it was also clear that she was very unsure about this situation or whatever's going on between them. Like all the way into like season 3, my girl is still really unsure, and that's a long time to be unsure. That's like 3 seasons of us watching episodes, and my girl is unsure. Like she wasn't sure, and I think the reason she wasn't sure is because even to her, like, you know, it was kind of like little brother platonic kind of love.
Yeah.
And I think it should have just stayed that way. Like for me, here's my real issue. I think for me, Aang got a lot of the things that he deserved to get by the end. So because of his storyline and like his development, he beats the people that he needs to beat. He gets the strength that he needs to get. Yeah,
That's it. That's the intro. Thank you so much.
he gets the strength that he needs to get. He does everything he needs to do, and it's like, it's almost like the writers, they were like, okay, after all that you've been through, you know, here's your happy ending, and then also we're just going to give you the girl that you've been chasing after, because you guys, you know, you have that love, but also it's like, here's one more thing that you get to get because you're the protagonist and because you've been through this entire like and
All
I'm
of
like,
the stuff.
I don't really like that. It doesn't sit well with me that he should get Katara because A, he's the protagonist, B, he's been crushing on her for such a long time, and C, it's the end of the series and he's gotten everything anyways, so why not also get this person that he's been having a crush on? Like, that's also what it felt like for me. I don't know how you feel about what I'm saying.
No, I hear you. I think earlier on, like back in season 1 of the podcast, I remember I did the shipping episode where I basically took people that people had oh wow, that doesn't make sense. Couples that people had shipped together, and one of them happened to be, I wanted to say that Katara was a city girl because one of the couples was her and Zuko.
Oh yeah.
Because that episode when they were in the cave, bro, like that's all it took for people. People were absolutely like not seeing it the whole time, and then that one episode happened that maybe 3 hours that they were in the cave, and then people were like, oh my gosh. So I remember after that, it felt like it was the same thing that you said. It felt like, no, this is whatever's happening between her and Aang, it feels a bit too platonic. Maybe she should be with other people. Like, I thought Jet was a good match, and then he turned out to be a horrible person, like a terrorist. So that was like, okay, not Jet. And then Zuko came into the picture, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, I can see this, but for reasons amounting to chemistry, and also because I think Zuko is better matched with May, and then that cut out of my head. Because I recently rewatched it during the first lockdown.
Wow, our lives.
Yeah, the second lockdown.
The second lockdown.
And I don't even know what is time, dog. What a month. And I think that what the writers did by leaving it to the end is, we would have been way more upset if they had started dating maybe at the end of season 1 or after the final battle of season 2 when Aang nearly died. If they had started like dating earlier or like started falling in love earlier than what they gave us, I think it would have irritated us more, not because like Aang gets whatever he wants, but because it would just feel like, I don't know, it would, to me at least, it would feel like, oh, you guys are just doing this because like he's here, you're there, you know, and Sokka is like her brother, so that's about it. So, but like, I think because of the good friendship that they form, because they take so long to do anything, the fact that Katara is kind of not a damsel, like actually, let's speak on that. Katara gets kind of scary, dangerous somewhere between season 2 and 3. So like, we already knew that she could handle herself, but she could
she could really handle
herself.
herself. Yeah, and that's good.
And I think, and it's wonderful. And I think because of that and the friendship, I was kind of like, you know what? I get. It's not a happy, affirmative kind of yes, they're together. It's more of a okay.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes more sense to me.
Which is
than if you were like, oh, I was crying from joy. I would be like, oh, I don't know about that. But
sometimes because people are good friends, you don't have to ship them. That's my take with anything.
Yes. Sometimes it's okay for people to just be friends.
I mean, I wouldn't have a podcast if people just were friends all the time. But yes,
in this instance, I feel like, or at least you know what? If they just like left it as an open-ended thing, and then in the Legend of Korra, just don't take us too much into knowing too much about anything. Do you know what I mean? Don't give it to us that they did end up or whatever. Don't tell us. Let us have our own imaginations, and if that's what you wanted for them, that's what it can be. If that's what you didn't want for them, then it doesn't have to be like that. But because just personally, I feel like they should have just stayed close friends. And I'm sure there were other boys that Katara could have fallen in love with. There were other people, so
it's funny because they were other boys and then they turned out to be a terrorist, a war criminal. So I do want to ask you though, on this topic, like, let's imagine for a moment that there was no like impending war or genocide about to happen. Like, imagine that Aang had simply just been himself. Katara had simply been herself. There's no threat of Violet Ozai. Because I think part of the reason why they do end up together is that they're going through this very hectic, very pressurizing situation together. Like, Aang is in his own kind of level of pressure as the Avatar that he's dealing with. Katara is dealing with the trauma and like the pain that the war has brought upon her and her family, and also trying to like help this one person that can save everyone. If we take all of that away, do you think without the trials and the journey, without the trauma bonding, do you think they would have ever actually?
Here's what I think. I actually think that if he had just woken up and he was just a little boy in some ice and there was nothing else going on and they didn't have to like, develop their skills in a short amount of time and face all of these people, I actually think they might have organically and easily ended up being a couple that I could support. But I think because Katara instantly took the role of mentoring him and nagging him and making sure that he is ready and that his self-esteem is up, and like an older sister almost, she like instantly took on that role because she is a lot more mature than the other two. And when Toph comes later on, all three of them, she's more mature than them.
It's funny because Sokka's older than her, but still, she was always
of course, it was never going to be him. It was never going to be. But I think with that added on, that like, I don't know, kind of distanced the romantic idea. And I think if she didn't have to take that role, then they would have easily become romantic. I'm sure on some level they are good together romantically, and there wouldn't have been this thing of like, I'm having to nurture you kind of situation, because that's actually what makes it a little bit weird for me, or like a little bit not potentially what I
romantic anymore. No, it's definitely unromantic when you kind of have to look after a man. Once you're kind of playing the motherly role, that's when you kind of
like I don't know if this is what I want for myself.
I just realized something that is so dark.
Aang has mommy issues.
All of Katara's like no, okay, well, yes, that, but all of Katara's love interests have a kind of mommy issue. Like Jet lost his mom through the Fire Nation attacks. Zuko lost his mom because of his dad. Aang just like didn't have it, right? And remember how Katara said that once they lost their mom, she kind of had to be the mom to Sokka and everyone.
This girl is Bob the Builder. She's out here building everyone
I'm thinking
from every nation.
Mother Teresa ain't got nothing on her.
What?
Ain't it? Wow. Ain't it just a weird?
I never even
complex
realized that until now.
Same. Literally, I had the thought. You know when you have a thought and you just look into the distance? That's exactly what I did.
Oh wow!
Please frame, just thoughts.
Wow.
And while we're on this topic, okay, so we're kind of not on the same page about this, but we agree that it would make sense, maybe in a different world, maybe in a different kind of setting. But I find it interesting that all the other romantic pairings in the show just made sense immediately. Like they didn't need like any justification or thought.
The moon.
Like Sokka with the Moon Princess. Oh my god.
Yo, that was so sad, dude.
It was so heartbreaking, and I'll never forget when they're in the last season when they're watching the play, because the play just summarizes their whole journey. When they're watching the play and they're talking about that moment, and then Suki turns to him and she's like, "I didn't know you dated him," and he's crying.
No, dude, that was really sad. Shame.
And that relationship made sense. When he got with Suki, that relationship made sense. Everyone around them, it was just easy to like accept and kind of being like, okay, I can deal with this.
Except that.
So it's making me wonder, like, what they're missing, what they're lacking.
Yeah,
if that's the
definitely.
word.
And it's not. The issue isn't that they started off as friends, because lots of people start off as friends, and everything's fine. So I don't know, man. Like I don't know. I really don't know. And I think, again, for me, it's like we all know Aang had a crush on her. It was very, very clear from the beginning. But like, he made it very obvious.
Very, very clear.
Remember that time he tried to tell her and then she like ran off. So it was like always there. And I know that they also tried to sort of like hint at us that maybe they were eventually going to get together, because she spoke to that like fortune teller person, and they were like, you're going to marry a very strong bender or whatever. And then like, I don't know, later on Sokka is like, oh, Aang is actually a really strong bender, I always forget. And then she had like a that's so Raven moment. And I feel like they were trying to get us ready that perhaps it was coming, but I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I'm sure there are other strong benders. Oh my goodness, there's 4 nations. I'm like, why did it have to be Aang? So,
but it is what it is now. The show, I think we forgive it a lot more because take away, like we said in the beginning, take away the romance. This show is great. It's just really good. I wanted to ask you, kind of off topic now because I'm out of questions. What is your favorite episode of all time? And then who is your favorite character? Not to say that any of the others are bad, but like who's just your favorite?
Think I can't say that it's like my favorite because it makes me the most happy. My favorite episode is when Appa got stolen. It was so sad. Yo, that episode.
That was heartbreaking. Oh my goodness.
Heartbreaking. But like, I this is gonna sound so awful, but I really enjoyed seeing everybody fall apart. just to kind of like fall back together again, if that makes sense. Like a really awful thing happened. Yeah, very like
Very
Avengers. Everyone
Avengers
went
of
different
them.
directions. You know, people started families. Okay, they didn't start families, but like, you know, they really fell apart. So maybe let me not say episode, but that was like my favorite. Like you know, the hero falls. Yeah, like the hero falls, and like things were really bad. Things were really bad. Aang was like really angry. Yeah, it was dark times. But then they pulled it together. They found my boy. Like, it went like from the most heartbreaking to like, oh yay, order is restored. And I like that, and I cry every single time. Like every time I rewatched it, I cry because it's just really good.
You think you're gonna be stronger now?
Hey, did you call me old?
But no.
Excuse me.
I'm literally 1 week older than you. If I call you old, I'm calling myself
True.
ancient.
But yeah, that was my favorite. Like that was my favorite time in terms of like, you know, they fell hard and they were low. They made it out. They made it out.
You sound like a sermon. But God,
yo, sometimes in life we lose our upper, and it feels like things are over. And my favorite character.
My goodness. Okay,
you know, Miss
favorite
Main
character.
Bad B. You know who she is.
I knew it. This is such a gay answer.
I'm feeling very attacked right now. My favorite is Azula. Because she really was that person, and had she not had a mental breakdown in the end, I believe she might have done some real undoable damage there. Yeah. But you know, she struggles with mental health, don't we all? And that was her downfall.
Which is so sad, because though I don't think I hated her more than I respected her as a villain. Because wow, can you ever have someone just ruin your plans at every turn? Anytime you thought, oh no, the heroes, they made it, they're gonna do Azula,
shut up. And she'd be like, I'm here to ruin everything. Loved her.
And she would. Well, I'm crying now because I'm still laughing. But Dintho, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a ball. I always appreciate your opinions.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. Like, you know, if anybody ever, you know, mysteriously disappears under mysterious circumstances and they can't make their feature, I'm always available. I'm always here.
That was the most incriminating marketing I've ever heard.
Yeah, thank you for having me, my friend.
Likes and dislike time. Where does one begin? Where do I begin? Where does one end? You know, because I really love everything. Wow. But I'm gonna try. Just for you, I'm gonna try. Likes. I've said this and I'll say it again. I love how beautiful their world is. Like, wow. The artwork is impeccable. Really, really great. The fact that each nation has a distinct style in architecture, wardrobe, landscapes, and like beyond visually speaking, they do that in terms of even the style of bending. Like each bending style represents a different style of martial arts. Like they paid attention to this. They wanted you to see the differences. They wanted you to see it and like experience it in their bending, showing these different cultures under this one kind of holistic nation. Wow, there's an attention to detail in everything that they did, and wow, I really like it. I really love it. My favorite when it comes to like architecture, I really love how beautiful the air temples are. Even the ones that I think they were the southern or the western air temples, the ones that hang upside down. I think that was a really great concept, and also visually just looked really great. I loved their time in Ba Sing Se because that was the most aesthetically pleasing city. Even the like common why do I say common area? It just seems so horrible. The residential area was really beautiful. The like nobility, where the nobility live, where Aang and the team kind of stay, is also really great. Earth Nation architecture was just gorgeous. Chef's kiss all around. Really loved it. I really like any fight scene with bending because wow, beyond what I was saying about how every style of bending is based off a different martial arts style, it's the movement and kind of the choreography of the fighting that made it so beautiful. Like, it's more than people just shooting like fireballs at each other or throwing rocks at one another. It's way more than that. Like, moves are intentional and calculated and smooth. Like, oh my goodness, it's wonderful to see. Like, I know you shouldn't really be this excited about violence, but it really is. People use their bending as more than just like weapons. They use it to move, they use it to deflect, and the way that it is drawn or the way that it is designed is really lovely to see. One of my favorite episodes has a beautiful example of what I'm talking about. The season finale of season 2, when Aang and Katara are facing off against the Zula in that cave under Ba Sing Se. Magical, magnificent. Oh my goodness, I would rewatch that episode all the time if it didn't end in such a really painful way, because oof, that ending, this fight is great, but how it ends, I remember being, how old was I when I watched this? I had to be in primary school because I was still at home. I think I was about 13 or 12, but I remember watching it and my heart just broke. My heart literally, I think I may have cried because it really felt like that was the end of Aang. Wow. Even for the people that weren't benders, like the Kyoshi warriors, when Sokka mastered sword fighting, I was like, okay, damn, maybe I would like a sword. Like, people that designed this, they were looking at how to make fighting look really cool beyond just making it fun. Like, oh yeah, there's fire. Like, oh yeah, there's water. Like, they made sure that this fighting made sense and that it looked visually amazing. Love that. I really like the humor. Wow, such a funny show. When you hear me describe like the concept or like the plot, you can't really imagine that there's space for humor because there's war, there's magic, there's fighting, there's all that's going on, right? And there's still that place for funniness. I'm sure if this was a darker show or like it was marketed or made for adults, they would make it less funny. But it doesn't feel like the humor takes away from the seriousness of the circumstance or how how dangerous the missions and stuff are. All these jokes are perfectly timed and they're perfectly placed. I think that the beauty of the jokes is that they give us an insight into who these people are. I think what you find funny or what you make jokes about says a lot about you, and also kind of it makes us care for them or sympathize with them more than we already do. I obviously think that Sokka was one of the funniest characters on the show until they introduced us to Toph in season 2. Toph is bloody hilarious. Maybe it's because her brand of humor is mostly sarcasm and that kind of meanness, but I really, really love her and how funny she is in this show. Dislikes. I didn't enjoy some of the filler episodes, and by filler episodes, those are kind of like the episodes where maybe they're not directly going along with their mission. Maybe what they're doing isn't directly linked to the war, or maybe it's not important in the greater scheme of things. Those kind of episodes. But I understand why they exist. There's a lot of space between the beginning and the end of the story. It would be weird if every single episode was something, because realistically, like especially on a journey like the one Aang is going on, realistically speaking, not every single day is going to be some huge adventure, some huge fight. They did manage to like add an element of adventure, like something was always going on, but not everything was related to the bigger picture, if you know what I mean. Sometimes episodes were simply there to character build or reveal something that will become relevant much later, or just team traveling. And that's fair, I understand why they need them, but it doesn't mean that I like every single one of the filler episodes. However, side note, my favorite filler episode is the one where Toph becomes a master scammer when they're at the Fire Nation. Like, on the surface, it's just this episode about her and the boys kind of just being chaotic and letting loose. But I like what it reveals about Toph and her relationship with her family, and alternatively, what it reveals about Katara and her kind of motherly instinct and this thing of I have to take care of everybody. That was cute. It was funny, and then it also managed to get very sentimental and I think it was very honest as well. So yeah, filler episodes. I wish series creators would use them better and also more. I also dislike that they didn't kill Fire Lord Ozai. Yo, I was so upset. Like, I completely understand, and I know that there's this whole thing about Aang and his values as a monk, and like why he doesn't possess that kind of power. Well, let me not say kind of power. He doesn't possess that thing in him that wants to kill people. Completely understand Aang. I sympathize with him. I get him. But Ozai did not deserve mercy at all. If you just put aside everyone on the team alone that has suffered from his tyranny, like forget those people. He is a whole war criminal. Like 4 nations have crumbled below him, and I say 4 because I don't think the people in the Fire Nation were having the best time either. So no, I think bad people should suffer the consequences, especially bad people like Fire Lord Ozai. He was beyond redemption or forgiveness. Like, you could even see it in the way that he treated his children, which was very merciless. He nearly killed Zuko. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just believe evil people deserve all the bad things that are coming to them. I think Katara would have done it. Katara is angry enough, but also Katara she somehow became less militant during season 3. And I also understand that it's a kid's story. You can't really be having people offing each other. But I really don't like Zula. Hear me out. I understand that she is only a product of her parenting, but I don't like that woman. I respect her. I do. I respect her drive. I respect how she is a great villain, but I do not like her. And I think I hated how she always got away with things somehow, or that she would always find the holes in people's plans without even working that hard. Like she'd just hear a whisper, or she'd notice some weird behavior, and she would just be there. That time where she just happened to be on Boiling Rock around the same time that Zuko and Sokka were there irritated the hell out of me. Oh my goodness. It almost made her seem worse than Oz. Like her hyper presence and like her behavior throughout the show almost made it seem like, man, maybe Fire Lord Ozai isn't that bad. But I know it's only because we got to see her war crimes live. Like we witnessed them. If her father got the same treatment, like the same airtime that she got, then she'd seem like less of a villain, and I'm sure of it. I also feel like maybe the writers didn't try to make us sympathize with her enough. Like, yes, there was that one moment on the episode where they went to the beach house where we kind of see an ounce of character from her. We get like a glimpse into why she is the person that she is. But after that, it doesn't feel like there's any more glimpses at all. Like, it's over after that. You watch her reign of terror until she sadly falls from grace. Oh my gosh, guys, that breakdown at the end was just, the higher they climb, the harder they fall, played out. She went out so sad, but also, haha. We've reached the end of the show, and I am sure I've talked so much that people are already tired of me now, so I'm just gonna wrap it up. Don't worry, this last part is really easy because it's time for Who's Your Fave. This time we are making it an eternal affair and looking at the other romantic pairings on the show, for which there are a lot. In this corner, we have May and Zuko from the Fire Nation. And in the other corner, we have Suki and Sokka from the Earth and Water Nation. I wanted to make an Earth, Wind, and Fire joke, but I have no idea how to set it up. Like, it's not coming to me. I'll be honest, I don't necessarily like one of these couples. Not because I don't want them to be together, but because I ship Zuko with myself. What a handsome, troubled man. Really, just love him. And Sokka was kind of a hoe in this show. Like, there was so many people wanted him. Like, the Moon Princess aside, I think Sokka had the most kind of romantic action in this show. So there's also that. However, I am biased. You, lovers, you are not biased at all. And you have the freedom to vote for who you would like to save. You can go on our Twitter poll at StarringCupid to vote for the couple you would like to save from this battle. Let us know how you feel about them or any other characters from the show, any other couples that you wanted us to touch on that we didn't. We would absolutely love to hear from you all. Again, my big thanks to Dintho-tsohle for joining us. You guys can catch her on Twitter at Dintho-tsohle and also on Instagram. She is a wonderful content creator. She has her own YouTube channel. Just wonderful thoughts, more opinions. If you want to hear more from her, very grateful to have had her on here. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back another day with another fictional couple to discuss. For now, goodbye.